How to reduce your risk of infectious diseases. There are several practical ways to keep yourself healthy and free of infection. In the age of COVID-19, this has become especially important given that many traditional infections are becoming multi-drug resistant, and emerging infectious diseases are challenging researchers and public health officials face the prospect of an epidemic or pandemic. There are even reports about superbugs that have become resistant to all traditional antibiotics as they are spread from individual to individual, picking up drug-resistant mutations along the way. These include deadly strains of Pseudomonas aeruginosa, Acinetobacter baumannii, and Enterobacteriaceae, aka the nightmare bacteria. There are even concerns that COVID-19's dreaded cousin, Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome, MERS, may one day become more virulent and trigger another pandemic. Despite these scenarios, there are several simple yet effective ways to reduce your risk of transmittable infections no matter the type. Here are 10 to add to your personal preventive practices. Wash your hands. Many people do not realize that microbes can live on surfaces anywhere from a few minutes to several months, depending on the environment and pathogen type. This means that some viruses and bacteria may be able to persist on surfaces you touch regularly, such as your computer keyboard, light switch, or the pedestrian crossing button next to the crosswalk. Hand-to-face and hand-to-mouth transmission are among the most common ways that infectious diseases are spread. To avoid those, routine hand washing is recommended to limit the exposure of the pathogen to your mouth, eyes, or nose. In the absence of water and soap, an alcohol-based hand gel or wipe will suffice. It is also important to avoid picking your nose or biting your nails, especially if your hands are unwashed. Teach your kids to do the same. Avoid sharing personal items. Toothbrushes, towels, razors, handkerchiefs, and nail clippers can all be sources of infectious pathogens, including bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites. These objects are referred to as fomites, a term used to describe objects or materials that are likely to carry infection, such as clothes, utensils, or furniture. Point 6. While many pathogens have a low risk of transmission on fomites, there are some that are commonly spread this way. These include Clostridium difficile Escherichia coli, E. coli, hand, foot, and mouth disease, head lice, hepatitis B virus, HBV, influenza respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, rhinovirus, associated with the common cold, scabies, staphylococcal skin infection, streptococcus 7. It is important to teach your kids not to put toys and objects in their mouths and avoid doing so yourself, such as chewing on a pencil. Cover your mouth. Good hygiene includes not only personal cleanliness but also the age-old practice of covering your mouth when you cough or sneeze. Many respiratory infections are spread by droplets, some of which may be small enough to become aerosolized and travel for long distances. The risk is greater with upper respiratory tract infection, in which the viral or bacterial particles mainly reside in the nose and throat. But even lower respiratory tract infections like tuberculosis can be effectively spread when a person coughs. Get vaccinated. Your immune system is designed to have a memory of previous infections, enabling a rapid response, in the form of antibodies, B cells, and T cells, should the pathogen ever return. Vaccination does more or less the same thing, exposing the body to a weakened or killed form of the pathogen so that the same defensive cells are produced. Point 9. Getting the immunizations you need will protect you and those around you from infection and illness. There are not only a recommend schedule for children but also a list of recommended vaccines and booster shots for adults, including the annual flu shot. Wear a face mask. Face masks have become a part of people's everyday lives with the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. One of the benefits of the practice is that it not only helps slow the spread of the coronavirus but also led to a steep reduction in influenza cases during the 2020-2021 flu season. Point 10. Face masks not only help you avoid getting an infectious respiratory disease but prevent you from infecting others should you be infected. As such, the practice of face masks should be adhered to in any situation when you have respiratory symptoms and are unable to quarantine yourself.